Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Honestly, Let's Talk. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, and each Thursday night, I look to bring you a different panel of guests to talk about a variety of topics. As I was planning out this semester of what we were going to talk about, one of the things that has always intrigued me is raising multiple kids at one time, especially when we're dealing with twins, triplets, or more. I was a big fan of John and Kate plus 8, and then Kate plus 8, and then it just got crazier, and then we had to let them go. But I've always been intrigued by multiples, and so I thought, why not have a conversation about raising twins? And I know nothing about it at all. So I brought in some people who they may not consider themselves experts, but they're living it right now. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell you where they're from, and how old their twins are. Kristen, we'll start with you.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Ford. I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and I teach in Moorhead, Minnesota. And I have identical twin boys that are 17 months old.
Thanks. Michelle?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Kim, and I live in Orange County, California. And I have a team 1 and a team 2. So I have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, and then I've got my 6-year-old twins.
You have a busy house.
I do.
What about you?
My name is Aaron Marble, and I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Sorry, I missed that. And I have twins. They are 2.5 years old.
Thanks, Aaron. Sherelle?
Hi, I'm Sherelle Clax. I am a mother of 4 as well, like Michelle. I have a 12-year-old. The twins are the middle children. They are 9. And then we have a 1-year-old, a 13-month-old. Just turned.
I love it. And I think it really goes to say something that after twins, you decide to still keep having kids. So bravo.
Absolutely.
And so Casey, bring us up. What about you? Where are you and how old are your twins?
Hey guys, my name is Casey and I am from Brenham, Texas. And my twins are 2.5 and they're accompanied by their older brother who is 6. And we are done.
No more for you?
Oh no, that would be a major problem.
I love it. Well, thank you all for being here. I know you are probably exhausted after a long day, so we're going to jump right in and talk about this. And so my first question, obviously, is I want to start with the great. I want to celebrate this. I want to know, what do you love about raising twins? Because I'm sure it's different than raising just one kid. Obviously, you've got double everything going on all the time. And so I'd love to know, what do you really love about it? Michelle, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I didn't think the twin connection thing was a real thing, but it's a real thing. And my twins are actually boy-girl fraternal twins. And so I thought, okay, what is this twin connection? But they are always looking out for each other. I mean, if somebody forgets their water bottle, one's looking out for them. If, the other day my son says to me, my daughter was away at her cousin's house and he's like, I feel like half of me is missing. And she was gone for 2 hours. And so that connection is real, and you can see it because I can compare it to my older 2 who always say, I wish I had a twin, So it's so special. I just can't deny they're each other's best friends. They're in the same first grade class. So it's really, really special, and I'm loving it.
I love that. And I love that your older ones are like, I kind of want a twin now after seeing their brother and sister. Well, Casey, What about you? What have you loved so far about having twins?
Honestly, it's the double laughs, the double loves, everything. Yes, it's the double trouble, but the double love is truly what takes the cake. And to hear them both say mama and just come running with the biggest bear hug, I had a singleton first, never even knew the term singleton existed until I had twins. And then I had twins and I'm like, holy cow, you love your children, but then when you have 2 at the same time, you're inside. I just oh my gosh, I cannot love any kid anymore. But having 2, I was like, this is unbelievable.
Well, you just taught me something because I had never heard the word singleton before either when describing it. So I just learned something too.
There you go. Always learning something.
That's right. Kristen, what about you? What do you love about having twins?
We're still pretty new at this, and I would say I just got out of the fog, so just, forgive me. But I would say the best part is they're each other's cheerleader. They're the balcony people for each other. And, when they were learning how to walk, one would walk and we'd all clap and cheer. And the other one would be sitting watching and you'd hear him cheer and clap too. And I don't know. I find that just so endearing that they love and they laugh and they, it's just great.
I love that. Sherelle, what about you? What have you enjoyed most?
I kind of agree. I absolutely agree with Michelle. They're built-in best friends. That's what I like to call it. They are through and through. My twins are identical twin girls. And they really do have each other's back, even when they're trying to fight with their older brother. They do tend to tag team, is what I like to call it. We might have a WWE show every now and then because of it. They tag team each other out. They're there to pick each other up when one is down. It is so amazing to see the growth, even from them being just the toddlers and them actually learning from each other. That's what we see a lot. They tend to pick up from each other. Each one has their own individual strength and individuality, which I really love about that, because a lot of people are like, oh, they must be the same. Nope, they're not. And I love that about the twins, that they are not the same. Even though they may look the same, they are individuals, and showcasing that individuality is important as they get older.
I love that you said that too, because being an educator myself and having twins multiple times throughout my career, I can tell you that even when they look the same, they are always different. They always have different personalities, no matter how much. And so right away interacting, like, I know which twin you are, even though physically I couldn't tell. I can tell right away by your laugh or by the way you do things. So I love that you said that. So Aaron, you're the dad on the panel. And so what have you enjoyed most about having twins?
Even before we even ever had kids, this may not be specific to having twins, but before we even had kids, I always wanted that experience where I come home from work and the kids are just so excited to see dad, and they just run to the door and they give you a big hug and they say dada, and I love it more than I actually thought I would. And every day I come home and I have two little 2-year-olds running towards me that just dada, they're so excited that I'm home. And I would say that is the one moment I think that I love best. And then Sherelle also said something that I've always enjoyed a lot. What do they call it? The twins speak, where with the kids, the twins actually have their own language that no one else understands. That is completely real. And how many times have I heard, even like across the house, one will just say something that doesn't make any sense, and the other one will respond, or they'll have a word that they're both using, and they know what the other one's saying. I don't know what that word means, but the other one knows what it means. So that kind of stuff is fun to watch.
That's so wild. I can't even imagine that. Well, it's after thinking about things that have, you've really enjoyed you really loved doing while raising twins. Has there been anything that has kind of surprised you or caught you off guard, or that you were like, I was totally not prepared for this? Like I read and researched and did all this, but this I wasn't sure about, and I had to learn it the hard way. We'll start with you, Kristen.
Well, geez, everything is challenging at times. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's not double. It's not double when you have two. I feel like there's an X factor where it's a little bit more than double. I mean, and I feel like anybody that has multiples, what I hear them say, it's not the second one, or it's not the it's the third one, or it's the whatever the extra one in is challenges people. But the thing I think that maybe surprises me is, I don't know, just how busy, how fast the days go. And how I'm kind of a get stuff done gal, and stuff is not getting done. So at least right now. And so I would just say that just the time that it takes, how fast an hour can go, and how fast a room can get destroyed is just phenomenal to me.
I can imagine how fast a room can get destroyed. Aaron, what about you? What's kind of surprised you or caught you off guard?
Well, our first children are twins, so I always say that must be a blessing that we started off with twins because I don't know anything different. But the moments where like one is napping a little longer, or maybe one went with mom, and I only have one kid, I'm like, wow, this is super easy. How in the world? People do not have a reason to complain when they have one kid. And I think that I don't even know how to put my finger on it, but just having two little ones running around, it just takes up so much mental space to know where they are, what are they doing, what are they touching. And that, I think that's probably the most difficult thing, trying to keep up with both of them. Although I've often said, I can do two, but I don't know how I would do three because I only have two arms. I can grab two, but if there's a third one, I don't know.
I love it. Michelle, what about you?
Well, they were a surprise to begin with. So we were like, oh, we're going from 2 to 4. And then on top of that, they decided to show up really early at 31 weeks. So we had preemies on our hands. So, I'm surprised we made it through and that we are here. And now at age 6, oh man, life is so full and so fun. And I'm just surprised by how even, with adding 2 more kids, you would think it'd be crazy, but it's just, we can't imagine life without them now. And so it's just, that's the surprising part. We made it through, even with twins.
And I can't even imagine, that whole, it's a surprise number one, but then when you find out, oh, not only are we pregnant, but we're about to have 2 more added into the family, surprise again. So, Casey, when it comes to you, I think about what Aaron said about, I can't even imagine having a third, and you went from having 1 to then all of a sudden now you're pregnant with twins. So you've got hopefully an answer for him when it comes to what about when a third, where do you get the arms to do that? So Casey, what kind of surprised you or caught you off guard?
Going from the 1 to the 3 was a surprise because as a person growing up, I'm going to be a mom, but I was the one that said, I'm never having more than 2 kids because I want my husband to grab one and I grab one and we're good to go. And when they said, oh, look, it's twins, like, whoo, my whole world literally like blew up in front of me. Like, what am I going to do? But something, that surprised me the most is honestly some of the questions that the people ask you as a twin parent. Like, oh, are you going to work? Well, yes, just because you've had twins doesn't mean that you can't work. I'm a teacher and I do enjoy my job. Or the question of, oh, were you going to try for a girl? No, I'm happy with my 3 boys, I mean, honestly, just the questions that people come up with. Where do they get this from? Oh, and then the common one, oh, were these natural? Like, are my kids fake? Like, I mean, I know they're meaning IVF, but I mean, that's some of the questions. Some people need to filter.
Yeah, definitely. Some people definitely do. Well, Sherelle, what about you? What surprised you or caught you off guard?
So I actually have to agree with everyone here. I, too, Michelle, was caught off guard at 5 months pregnant, finding out that I was having identical twin girls, to the point where I went into my principal's office and I cried because I didn't know how to react. But I have to shout out my husband. He was a stay-at-home mom with them for 18 months. And but us working together, we thought it was going to be harder. I think it's much harder with the new one that we have. And for some people it is like, oh my goodness, double the trouble. I call it double the blessing, because it just was double the blessing. It was made for us, right? I mean, this is the people on this panel and those who are moms and dads of multiples, it's like made for us. And so with the twins, it wasn't really a surprise. There wasn't really anything that I thought we could handle. I at first I was shocked to see would I really know the difference between the two because they were identical. But as even the moment within my womb, like I knew baby A and baby B, right? I knew who was baby A and who was baby B. So there really wasn't anything. I go back to the fact that they're individuals. Like I knew they were individuals. Sleeping, it was the norm. One would wake up, and then right after that one would baby A would wake up, then baby B would wake up. So it wasn't like it would be too different. It was just like having 2 babies just, at once. So I really didn't see too much of a difference. And then once you go from 1 to 3, I felt like it was a piece of cake.
Well, you answered a great question that I've always thought about too. Having identical twins, I've always wondered, like, as the parent, do you immediately identify, oh, I know the difference. Like, I can walk in and I don't care if they're identical. They don't have to say a word. I know who's who. And so I can see y'all that have identicals nodding your heads and going, oh yeah, that's me too. And so I find that's such an interesting thing to me, that must just be that maternal paternal instinct to know right away. I can tell.
Have you all seen that it's a funny picture, and it's like what people think my twins look like, and it's like Bert and Bert, and then it's like what I see my twins as, and it's Bert and Ernie. And so it's just a funny comment. Even if they're not identical, people oftentimes still think they look so much alike because they can't get it out of their head. So we painted one of our guys' fingernails for a long time. And now we still try to just help everyone. And we put one guy in stripes and the other guy in blue, or, one or the other, just to try to.
I love that, but I'd love to ask too, as a side question to that, as parents, you're telling me you can identify right away. And so for those of you that have the identical twins, does your family identify pretty easily who's who, or are they like the general teachers and things like that who may struggle with knowing right away who's who?
Well, in our households, my husband liked to play the game when we were giving the guys a bath. We'd always take a picture, and then we'd send both pictures to family and like have the guessing game. And so it's always so funny because, inevitably someone would get it wrong, which, for the record, sometimes if I just looked, the pictures, it was hard to tell. Pictures are hard. So it was kind of a little bit of, it was an unfair game for us to play with family who weren't present. But the more time they spend with them now, like I'm pretty sure they can tell them apart. So it's getting easier. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, awesome. Well, Casey, were you going to add something in?
I was just going to say, being in the town with both sets of grandparents and then my grandmothers, thankfully blessed with that I have help, but they've always been able to pick up on them. And I don't know if it's because, the little one had IUGR and he was kind of smaller, but some people, if you just see them, I'm like, oh, they look so much alike. I'm like, no, I've got my mom goggles on. These babies look nothing alike.
I loved the meme that Kristen referred to as how to a mom or dad. It's like, no, that's Bert, that's Ernie. It's not the same one. I can tell right away. Well, as we go into the next question, I'd love to know, if there are people here that are finding they found out they're pregnant with twins, they have somebody in their family with twins, they may be an educator who's going to get twins. Like, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. What is a word of advice or a lesson you've learned that you would say, keep this in mind, or think about this, or what kind of words would you speak to them? Aaron, we'll start with you.
Yeah, and actually, someone gave me this piece of advice when we found out we were having twins. They said, don't stress so much about making sure that you treat both of them the exact same way, because they're two different people. They're going to respond to you differently. You're going to respond to them differently. And I think every parent stresses a little bit, worries a little bit about their child's development. They want them to develop naturally. But what I've seen is especially when they were really little, they go through those milestones, and they would go through them at different stages. One would be ahead of the one, and then the other one would come right behind them. And then the other one would be walking first, and the other one would be right behind them. And so it's not something to stress about. If you think one is not up to par as the other one, they go back and forth. And like I said, don't worry about, just love both of them as individuals.
I love that. Sherelle?
They are an easy excuse to be late. In all honesty, I mean, yeah, it happens. You learn new time tricks, and as they get older, it gets better. It may seem chaotic at one point, but the chaos is worth caring for them. So even though, it's easy to be late,
Mhm.
and they're that excuse to be late. And no, it's really about taking the time to enjoy the moments with them. So it may seem hard at the beginning, but it really is worth it, because you then get to see them blossom into the individuals that they are, just as Aaron stated before.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my advice.
I love that. Casey, what about you?
Kind of thing. You will survive. Those late nights and mixing the bottles and giving them the wrong formula because we were on different formulas. You do get past that. And, just hang in there. And even though, like I'm echoing what they said, they are two different people.
Mhm.
Our little people have to be parented even different ways on certain things. And I really just thought, oh, they'll be the same. I've done this once. I can just parent them. No, you have to sit down and each individual people parent them different ways because they are polar opposites.
Right. Michelle, what about you?
Well, I have to echo everyone else. The days are long, but man, the years are short. And, that's what really sustained me, because I had to tell myself, okay, no for now, but not forever, because you might feel overwhelmed that you're about to, you're about to be stretched in a good way. And so I had to keep telling myself, so don't be overwhelmed. Like everyone said, you will get through it. And everything is temporary. I always say when your youngest is 4, that's kind of when you can start breathing again. I mean, before that, you're treading water, trying to stay alive. But really, no for now, not forever. And the days are long, but the years are short.
And Kristen, you having the youngest in the group, I'll let you close it out with what advice or what words of wisdom would you have?
Well, it's good to know good to know, Michelle. I only have like 3 more years of this left, so that's really great. I don't know if I have any advice. I can tell you, I can say what Aaron talked about. Our guys were 34 weekers. They were NICU babies for a little bit. So whenever I go to the doctor, she always asks where my guys are. And I don't know, maybe they're doing those things. I haven't noticed because I don't know what I'm doing. So there's that. In relation to, I don't know, advice, I don't know. I feel like my guys right now, I feel like they're raising us. I mean, my husband and I joke because, there was a time where one of our guys kept waking up at night and right out like an hour after we put him to bed. And Joe and I are like, what's the problem? And he was owning us. For like 3 weeks. And finally we looked at each other and thought, hey, maybe we should do something different. Light bulb goes on, and we decided maybe we should just feed him some more solid food during the day. Food, kind of a big deal. And so we did that, and all of a sudden then he started sleeping and not waking up. So we're like, oh my gosh, how dumb are we? So the 2 pieces of advice I have would be routines. I'm a big routine person, so maybe I'm projecting my own things, but sleep routines for us really help. And my guys are pretty good sleepers, so we're lucky that way. But and then accept help. It's hard. Some of us, that's hard just to do, and especially right now in the midst of a pandemic. But in whatever capacity, if someone says, hey, do you want me to take a load of clothes for you and take them home and wash them? Know that it's okay if you say yes, because honestly, any little bit helps, and it gives you more time to spend with your kiddos.
Well, I loved all of the advice you have, and I think you said something there, Kristen, that I think really resonated with everybody, because I saw everybody go like this when you said, accept and ask for help, and just know that. And I think anybody in here can know that anytime, whether you're raising one kid or multiple kids, it's a learning process, and then you have to be okay with getting help. And so thank you all so much. I was super excited to talk to y'all about having multiples and singletons now. I learned as well. Thanks, Casey. But you all, I just know that every day is a new journey for y'all. And I just appreciate so much you coming on and sharing with my listeners and viewers today what it's like for you raising twins. Because just like I talk about every week, my panelists today don't have all the answers. They don't always feel like they're doing it right, and they don't speak for everybody raising twins. These conversations are just about people's personal perspectives and their stories and what they're going through on their journey. So thank you all, from me to you. Thank you, my listeners and viewers, for joining another episode of Honestly Let's Talk. You can join every single week at 8 p.m. Central, live on Facebook or YouTube, or check out the recordings on the podcast. Next week, our Honestly Let's Talk will be with first responders, but specifically police officers. So join in